Howdy folks, I thought I'd make a quick video on this repair because it was not at all what I thought it was going to be, and this might help somebody with a similar problem. This is a JBL Charge 4. It is a Bluetooth speaker that I picked up at a thrift store for cheap, and it was with the original box, and it looked, it was in very good condition, so I decided to take the gamble on it, knowing that it probably has something wrong with it because why is it at the thrift store? This is, I think, a 2019 model or something like that, so it's not horrendously old. So anyway, I brought it home, plugged it into USB-C, and it's got a little bar graph on the bottom here. I know it's all disassembled. And it starts flashing, and I let it sit, and after several hours, nothing really had happened. The bar graph wasn't going up, and if I turned it on, it would make the startup sound, and then after a few seconds, it would shut itself down. It would play the shutdown sound. And so I ended up using one of these like USB power meter things, and I discovered that it was only drawing 20 milliamps, which is basically like the processor and the LED. And so it wasn't really charging the battery at all. And I tried a bunch of things. There's all sorts of different button combinations you can press according to the internet for different kinds of resets, and nothing was accomplishing anything. So ultimately, I knew I was going to have to get the thing apart. And I was dreading doing that because this is an IPX7 like waterproof product, and so I thought opening the thing was going to absolutely be, A, a pain in the ass, and B, it was probably going to destroy all the waterproofing. But I was very pleasantly surprised. This was very easy to open, and I didn't break anything doing so. It was all well enough built to do that, and there was no adhesives or glue required to get to the point where I can access the internals. So I was very, very surprised by that, and that was great. The reason why I wanted to open it is because I wanted access to the battery, of course. My thinking was that maybe the battery was in like undervoltage lockout. Maybe it had been sitting on a shelf for so long that the battery was undervoltage, and it wasn't accepting a charge because some battery chargers will refuse to charge a cell that's under 3 volts. Some of them will do a trickle charge. It really depends on the charge controller that's being used. So I ended up taking this apart. This is all you have to do. This passive radiator that goes on the side here, you actually don't have to remove these to get access to the battery. It does make it easier to access the connectors on the end though. And because I needed to see more inside here, that's why I took that one off. That was the hardest part because it's clipped. But you don't actually have to deal with that. I don't think it's actually necessary. There's directions on iFixit on how to take this apart, so I'm not going to go over that because it's already out there. And so the battery pack is this thing here, and it's just 3 18650s together in parallel, and it's supposedly 7.5 amp hours, and it's got this connector on it. And so I checked this with a multimeter. And surprisingly, it was actually like 3.2 volts, so it wasn't right at the bottom. So it should have worked, but I ended up putting it on a bench supply anyway, and I brought it up to about 3.5 volts. It accepted lots of current. The voltage didn't skyrocket, so the internal resistance of this battery pack is good. So I see no reason why the battery pack is bad. And again, plugging it into this thing didn't make a difference. So then I was kind of, I decided I would poke around this thing because the battery pack doesn't seem to be the issue. There actually seems to be a problem inside of here. And unfortunately, because of the way this board is situated, it not only is it glued in, but it comes in from the side. And so it's not super easy to get at. So I was mostly just kind of looking at what we got in here. And of course, because of the way this battery connector works, we've got positive and negative here. I thought, well, let's put 4.2 volts on those and see what happens. And it actually behaved exactly the same. It would turn on, and then it would immediately turn off. It would actually turn off faster with just voltage applied here. If you put the pack in, it stays on for like 5 seconds and then shuts down. So there's a slight difference there. And the other thing I did was I actually plugged in the charger without anything plugged in here. And that was when I discovered it draws 20 milliamps and it flashes the one light. So it basically proved to me that the thing was not at all attempting to charge the battery. It literally behaved exactly the same with no battery plugged in at all. So that was weird because, of course, the battery we know is connected. Because, of course, you can turn it on with the battery pack and no USB supply, which means that there's no fuse or anything on this board that's broken. But yet it refuses to send any current into the battery at all. And so the only thing that I could think of at that point would be the thermistor, the temperature sensor in the battery pack, because that's a common thing. Most battery chargers, if they see an open circuit, they will not charge. So of course we've got this connector here, and there's these two wires in the center. So I measured to ground, resistance to ground, because usually it's to ground, and the white wire had 10K to ground on it. So with the 10K to ground on the white wire, there's also 40K to ground on this yellow wire, which I didn't really know what that did. So I just faked out the 10K on this connector. So I just put a resistor between those pins and the power supply, and I got it to behave the same as if the pack was installed, where it would stay on for about 5 seconds and then shut down. So there was a slight difference there, but again, it really didn't do much else. And so at that point, I kind of was suspicious of what's going on with this yellow wire. Obviously there's something on that wire, otherwise it wouldn't exist. And so there was this BMS board that I could feel through the heat shrink on here. And so I just removed that, and this is where the spoilers come in, because I'm not undoing my work here. And so I immediately realized what was going on and what the problem was. So there are two thermistors in this battery pack, one here and one here. And of course, these are both going to be 10K thermistors. There's no reason these are going to be separate, different types of thermistors. And so this one was measuring 10K, and this one was measuring 40K, which would indicate, super negative temperature. And the rest of this board is really straightforward. We just got our FETs, our current shunt, and that's it. There's no real BMS on here. It's just protection circuitry. And so I desoldered NTC2, and I just put in a 10K resistor, because I think one temperature sensor is enough on this pack. I'm actually kind of surprised that there's two in here, because it's only just 3 cells in a triangle. I've seen battery packs that have got like 6 or 9 cells, and they're like end to end. So there's a huge distance between the temp sensors, and there's only one sensor of the whole pack. So I think we're fine doing this for right now. I really wanted to see, would this make a difference? And so anyway, I plugged this back in, and then I plugged the charger in, and it now started to draw 1 amp from the charger. But even though this battery pack was about half charged, it still only flashed the one LED. And if I tried to turn it on, it would turn itself back off again, which seems very odd. So anyway, I just plugged it in. It was drawing an amp, so I just let it do that overnight and let the thing charge up. And after several hours, it did kind of finish charging, and it is working now. So the BMS, of course, is on this board, and it's one of those intelligent BMSs that is also kind of not so intelligent. So it keeps track of the battery state in 2 ways. One of them is open circuit voltage, and the other one is Coulomb counting. And so the Coulomb counting is what makes it nice and accurate. And that makes sense, because this is, it's a JBL charge, so it has a USB-A on it. So the idea is that, you can use this up as a power bank as well. But it appears to be kind of dumb in the sense that it doesn't really seem to let the open circuit voltage override the Coulomb counting. So the BMS, when it was last used, the battery was low. And even though I charged the battery outside of the device, it didn't look at the open circuit voltage and then immediately go, oh, okay, it must be more charged than I thought it was. It doesn't, it's kind of dumb in that regard. So you have to charge it in the device for it to figure that out. So I'm going to probably have to do a full discharge and charge cycle before the battery gauge is even remotely accurate. But anyway, it does work. Obviously, I'm going to be cleaning this up. I'm going to remove the old thermistor. I'm going to heat shrink this whole thing. And the battery connector doesn't actually go in through the end. It actually goes in through this hole here. But just to prove to you that it does actually work now, we'll plug that in. And normally I have this disconnected because this is a really fun ribbon cable to get in. The connector that they've used has pins on both sides, and so you need tweezers to exactly insert it in there. That is actually like probably the most challenging thing, actually. So I only removed it at the beginning, and then I realized I kind of needed the lights to test it out. So there you go. it indicates it's fully charged because it is, and it works. So yeah, I saved this thing, and these are they were $170 when it was new. I think the new models are still that price. I don't think they make this one anymore. But at the end of the day, I think it's all basically the same. So yeah. This was a successful repair. It was not what I thought it was going to be. I really thought it was going to be either a dead battery pack or a battery pack that was under voltage and it was refusing to charge it. But thermistor was really not what I thought it was going to be at all. I thought that and having two thermistors was really the thing that threw me off. Because when I saw that 10K resistance, I thought, okay, yeah, that's definitely it. But no, it's got two thermistors. So anyway, these look like the Panasonic NCR 18650Bs. I haven't removed enough of the shrink wrap to see the labeling, but that green color really looks like the Panasonic, plus the capacity of the cells would indicate so. And they're really good 18650s, so this pack I think is probably just fine. So anyway, I'm going to put this thing back together and start using it. So anyway, hopefully you learned something or found this interesting. And until next time, thanks for watching.